Hi everyone, and welcome back to part 2 of 2 videos showing the use of Copic markers in an image that will be 2 violinists having a duel, a violin music off thing. On that note, I'm going to get drawing. This time we're using the same pens as the first one that was done earlier today, but I'm substituting blues for the reds, and it should show the difference of the colours and the warmth to the whole kind of palette difference, but like I say, you'll see. On we go. So instead of using the warm greys, which is what I used on the first one, we're going to be using the cool greys for this one, because that way we have the warmths for the red and the cools for the blue. Okay, so that's putting on a lot of blues, a lot of purples, completely different colour contrast to the other one, which I'll just show you here. I've just got it protected by a sheet of paper while I'm working, which has got the pinks in. So let's shove these little Copics over here, and I'll see if I can get this to you a little bit nearer. So I'm using two cameras here. So hopefully you can see the difference in the colour. So on the right we have reds, and on the left we've got the blues. Right, on with the next bit. Oh, and just to say, for the blues, this one I'm working on right now, I'm using a silver gel pen, and for the reds I used a gold gel pen just to add some metallic flecks to it. Hi there. Sorry about not talking through what I'm doing. Um, Basically, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm being honest. I'm just taking the Copics, I'm looking for a colour match, and I'm just applying it and then putting another layer on, another layer on. Um, as I mentioned in my last video, as a training aid, what I tend to do also is punch a hole. What's that hole? Punch a hole in a piece of paper. Hole puncher works really good for this. And then if you're following a photo, you take your photo and you put the hole over the section that you're about to do, and it gives you whatever's in that hole is the colour that you need to find a match to, and it makes it a lot easier to get colour matches. So instead of looking at huge drawing and a lot of colour in one hit, it's easier to take the hole on the hole and break it down. So in this case you've got a purple, and that's quite a nice easy one to match. You could use a BV23, would just about match that with some extras. Or you can move on to your greens, and you could use a Y28 with W5 to make that. So it's breaking down the drawing, breaking down the colours, working them out, and then applying them. The thing is, we all see colour very differently. I see certain shades, I see some shades I don't. My eyes aren't perfect. So I interpret this as best as I can through using layering technique. And I don't work in the groups of three, though it is always a good idea to work in groups of three. When I say groups of three, I mean like if you had W0, W3 and W5, that would give you your lightest, mid and darkest tones, and you could create a very in-depth drawing via doing that. But like I say, I honestly don't really know what I'm doing with this one. I'm just taking a colour, putting it on, taking another colour, putting it on, and just playing, if you like. And in truth, the best way of doing this is to simply play. I mean, right now, see, I'm using a C00, and I'm just starting to fill in the violin. It's not the colour that's actually on the picture, but because this figure I'm doing in a cold colour family, I'm using cold colours for this one, whereas I used warm colours for the first one. I'm substituting what I see in the photo for what I feel will work with the image. Right now I've got over 30 Copics around me, and all of these I'm using to create blending and do layers, and I'm adding to that from my pile on the side. So it doesn't matter, as I say, if you start from light to dark or dark to light, because in a sense with Copics you can blend both ways. I mean, it is easier to start from light, there's no doubt about that, but you've got the flexibility with the Copics to be able to start either side if you like. So with the hair, I'm just very gently taking the brush nib and flicking it, not all in the same direction, just in random directions here and there, just to give a very light indication of tone and shadow. I'm trying to keep the darkest areas close to the face, so the face shows more. So I've just used the silver pen to just pick out a couple of areas of detail that I just want to shine a bit more forward than others. So in this case, what I've done is with the violin, because I've used more blues in it, it's given it quite a different texture. So I've used a lot of light browns and then a very dark red brown to work with that to make the violin almost seem mottled. I just need to pull back a little bit of that colour, so I'll be using a blender pen or zero to just pull out a couple of little bits, and then I'll be using a white gel pen to show where the I want to call them rivets, but the little bits that put the violin together are. So sorry I can't really explain what I'm doing or the process. It's just literally I have no idea what I'm doing. Once you get your hands into Copics, they kind of take over. Possessed by pens. Could be a new film. Now that the jacket area is dried off a little bit and the alcohol's absorbed from the pens, I can just go over and pick out a little bit of the shadow areas to push forward and make darker. Otherwise, if I was working wet on wet, it would just blend into a slush. And though I've done a lot of the blending and I wanted it soft, I still do want some sharp areas of detail. Okay, so I'll just show you the two images together, just so you can see what's going on. It's actually just Let's move all the pens. The worst bit about having loads of pens on your desk, you have to put them away at the end of the day. But I just need to bring up the camera. Right, so I can move that. So you should be able to see the complete difference of the colour palettes, with our red on the right and our silver on the left. Still got a little bit of detail to add in there. I think I can push a few of the shadows a bit more. And yep, then I need to put in some cast shadows onto the ground as well, so they're not just floating. But this is roughly done, in all honesty. There is just touch-up work to do. So things like getting out the white gel pen again and adding in a couple of highlights. So for the cast shadow for the lady with the red tints, I'll be using a W grade pen, as this is of the warm spectrum. I'm not doing solid lines, I'm just going to put some little areas in. And then bringing the blender pen, I use a chisel end just to soften that out. W0 is pretty soft as it is, but it doesn't hurt just to soften and smooth it out, so there's no harsh edges. Then for the lady in blue, I'll be using a C pen, if I can see one. Surrounded by pens, but never the one you want. C, senior. And that's E. C7, too dark. C3, too dark. C1 will do. It's going to be a bit darker than the W, but that's where the blender pen once again comes in, because once you put a blender over, it'll soften out. I think this one's drying up as well. Right. Beginner's hints and tips. Right. Copics. Try and shop around. Don't buy from Hobbycraft because you'll be paying 40% plus extra. Have a look at companies like Sir Stamp-A-Lot, and Amazon can be still quite expensive. So Stamp-A-Lot's normally got quite good, and there's a couple of other companies out there who sell them a lot cheaper. Don't just buy random ones. Pick a little group of colours, so like Y00, Y03 and Y07 I think complement each other, and just experiment and play with them, because play is your friend. Definitely invest in refills. I'd say go for pen shape, go for the Sketch, yeah, go for the sketch and not the chow, because the sketch has got a bigger barrel. So this is what happens when they leak. And depressurize your pen before using. So I'm going to put this paper over here, I don't trust this one. So in this case I didn't depressurize it and all the ink shot out one end. So to depressurize the Copic, take your Copic, hopefully not near anything white sheets, take one end off, normally it's your chisel end, take off, give it a few seconds, put on, turn your other end, take it off, put it back on. That just depressurizes the pen and will stop it from doing ink blots or splattering over your artwork. In fact, as you can see there's a little splatter. This one seems to be very, very highly powered. So that's a couple of little hints. Paper-wise, Bristol board is very, very good. This one today I was using is some very, very cheap paper. As you can see from the back, I've got a nice bit of bleed through. It's just some cheap cardy stuff from Ryman's, but I tend to use Bristol board, or I use a bond paper, which is a very thin paper. It bleeds through like something else, so you have to have something behind it. What else can I think of? Definitely try and get onto one of the colouring courses, like the European Copic colouring course. It's well worth it. I'm yet to go, but I've been on a couple of courses taught by teachers who have got the qualifications. Yeah, I don't have any qualifications in Copics, but definitely see if you can find a Copic teacher in your area and can get a few of the lessons. They're really good. They go over everything from the techniques using the bleaching effects using the blender, because it's not just a it doesn't just bleach, you can use it in more than one way. You can put it onto things like jeans, which is a good one, and then you can stamp with the jeans on an image and get the texture effects. So those courses are really, really good. They also go over things like hair, skin, eyes, backgrounds, foregrounds, blending, soft blending, hard blending. Everything you want to know about Copics is on those courses. And I actually will be honest, they don't cost that much. If you save up a weeny bit, it's pretty nice and easy to get them. So I'm just going to make a couple of changes. I'm not happy with the skirt. So I'm going to go back to the YG95, if I can find it, in amongst the pins. Oh no, it's over there. And because this is dried now, I can start to redefine the shadows on it. So I've got my soft blending all down. Now I'm going in to pick up shadows. I'll be honest, I've not done... Well, I bought some books. Copic do some very, very good books that go over a lot of the technique as well. They're available normally on Amazon, or I think I've seen them in Waterstones, but I'm not sure if they stock them anymore. But the books are very good. They go through kind of nature, buildings, everything that's on the course, but in book form almost. But it's nice to go and do a course because you're with other people and you can share experiences. I've only done one course so far, and that was kind of a basic one. Everything else I've learnt through trial and error, experimenting. I did do a course. What kind of course? I still got a lot of it. It's from an American company, and it's called Tales of Amalthea. And it isn't just about Copic colouring, but it's about creature design, and it's absolutely amazing. I ended up paying for it because when it came out I was so desperate to get it, and it's taught by an amazing illustrator artist called Terrell Whitlatch. Please I've pronounced that right. And she goes through the concept of how to design a creature, the what and the where of the creature, through to building it in anatomy, so proper anatomy lessons, and then the colouring with the Copics to make it real. And I did come away from that course feeling I'd learnt a huge amount, especially on the blending side. So there's little courses and places available definitely for learning. I think my mic just cut out, so sorry, I'm just going to quickly repeat what I just said, which is terrible. I'll do it quick. White's not white. Basically, take a photo of a white object, and then look at the colours within that image. Take a photo of a white object, like a pillowcase, in sunlight, in shade, hanging up, on the ground, on a different coloured object, and analyse what colours are within that so-called white object. In my case, I did it with a pillowcase. Lucky pillowcase. And that way I was able to analyse those photos and see what exactly I was looking at colour wise, and then put that into my artwork, which means that I get a better sense of realism. Hence, these frills on these ladies are not white. They've got creams, they've got greys, there's all sorts in there. Right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs and everybody else, I think I'm going to call that one pretty much done. I've just seen something I just want to change on this one. There we go. Right, so yeah, I'm pretty much calling that done. So let's move that over here. So I hope that has helped you see how I work in Copics. I will find an image, or in my case take some photos. I'll then map out the colours that I see within the photo, and I do it quite scruffily. With Copics you can trust the lid colour to be correct to what comes out the pen, but you can't do that with all pens. Spectrum Noir pens, the lid is completely different in most cases to the pen, so don't trust it 100%, but it never hurts to make a quick colour chart just by writing down the number. Makes it easy to actually find the pen as well. And then once I've found colours that I feel I'm comfortable with, it's just a case of putting them down onto the paper. In this image I worked from light to dark and then dark to light, and if you add a pale Copic over a dark Copic, it will act like a blender and push the colour, kind of bleach it and push it back. So that's something to be aware of, but it does mean that you can get more layers. Paper wise, this is just a very, very cheap, I think it's 210 GSM or GMS weight paper from Ryman's, but Bristol board and bond paper work exceptionally well. There are a lot of papers on the markets, but you don't have to go for the most expensive. Marker paper is not bad, but you also need stuff that's archival. Copics are not 100% light fast, so if you do artwork with Copics, don't sell the original, because even if it's put under UV glass and protected, the colours could fade quite a bit, which means that in 20 years time the customer's going to look at that picture and think, my god, that's not what I purchased, I've been ripped off, and you could get complaints. So keep your originals nice and safe in archival wallets, but get a few prints done, a couple for yourself so you've got a reference, and then sell the prints. That way everybody's happy, because if you get glossy prints they're less likely to fade, and it is very good quality and people are happy to pay quite a good price for a high quality glycine print. So as I say, that's going to be it for tonight. So we'll see what we do with this image. I might send it to print tomorrow, I might not. Might have a bit more of a play around, we'll see. But thank you very much for watching, and I hope this has helped inspire you to pick up those pens and have a go and have a play. Definitely have a look around for Copic classes. They're well worth it. Seriously, they're well worth it, and you will learn tons from them. Me, I'm more of a self-taught, but that's the way I like it. Though I do hope to do the European Copic class next few years, depending on work. So until then, I hope everyone has a lovely evening. Good night and take care.